going into the season, they got Cat, they obviously got OG, and they had all the pieces. They pretty much kept the same team, got rid of Dante, but you get Cat in return, and I mean they're looking good, bro. I mean, I think what we've been, pretty much what my worry's been all season for them has been what we've been preaching is the minutes. That come playoff time, yeah, you want your best players out. They pretty much play the whole season like it's a playoff series, pretty much
Right.
the whole season. So, like you said,
As soon as he goes out for 30 seconds or a minute, it's like
hmm
that, I think. And that's what kills the Nuggets is like as soon as Jokic goes to the bench for a second, it's just they're in disarray.
hmm
So hopefully they can figure that out. That's always been an issue, having a player that's that, heliocentric. Um, it kind of leads to that,
what's
Luka.
going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boys over here at Three Man Weave. I'm your co-host CJ here, with my lovely co-host ZD. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm geeked because you saw what happened yesterday, and I was at work during the first half, but clearly, that's something I'm happy about for sure. But other than that, bro, I'm good. Like I say, I'm always above, thankfully, by the grace of God, I'm above ground. So, you know, here we are. You feel me? But
Yeah.
I'm tapping in for sure. We got some good stuff going on. So Monday, bro, it's April 7th, so national championships today. Jokic, another crazy performance last night. Obviously, we're gonna talk about a few teams we haven't talked about in a while. I think we'll even recap this game. Obviously, we'll talk about it for our audience, but we always do, man. If you're new to Three Man, we always talk about the Lakers and Thunder. So this is nothing new, but
Yeah,
got
man.
that W this time, man. So
Yeah. I was
we
about
can get right into it. You feel
yeah.
me? But
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah,
yeah, let's
it's
just
all
get right
good.
into it. So, obviously Lakers and Thunder played last night. It was an early game. It was 2:30. So, I'm not usually not like watching early games for OKC because we're usually the night games or midday
100%.
games or whatever. I mean, so I was leaving work and I was watching it. And bro, just from the get go, bro, y'all just blitzed us. I think y'all dropped 42 points in the first quarter, and Luca was hitting his step back jumper threes. You got AR doing his thing, pretty much what you've been saying all year. You've been saying that he's been honestly y'all's best player, even with Luca acquiring Luca, and I agree, bro. Like I bet on him the other night, and it's looking like he's just one of those players where he's gonna step up in each game now. Like this is kind of what to
Yeah.
expect from AR, and yeah, man, it was. I mean. Yeah, we'll definitely get into it definitely later. You'll say a couple of things, but just kind of my point of view, it was just one of those games where y'all could not miss, bro. Like y'all were hitting all
Yeah.
your threes, and granted, like you said, you were saying that the podcast you watched, the Hoop Collective, they were saying, when you do that, when a team makes all those threes, and you're shooting 50% from the 3 point line, it's there's not much the other team can do.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we were making our shots, yeah, it might have been a little bit more interesting. But when y'all are able to convert those baskets, and pretty much, I think y'all were 50% from the field and the three, so
And
everything was
three,
just
right.
going for y'all, man. And more props to y'all. We've been saying all year, you've been saying all
Yeah.
year, y'all have the ability to beat obviously the best team in the league or the best teams in the league. But then you have these little lapses where you lose against the Bulls or you'll lose against the Hornets or this and that. It's just the
Right.
consistency. But from what I saw yesterday, if y'all keep this up, man, I mean, y'all are definitely contending for a championship, bro. Because like you
Right.
said in the last podcast, when you have AR, Luca, Braun all potentially dropping 20 to 30 points a game, like that's hard to keep up with. Not a lot of teams have that, and especially when it comes to the playoffs, it's gonna be harder for the like role players to be able to contribute and get like kind of what I've been saying all year with the Thunder. Right, we've had a lot of depth, but come playoff time, they might not be able to get as much run, so it's gonna be a little bit tough for them to get it going and get their shot, shot making ability right. But yeah, no, man, it was
Right.
great. It was great for
The
you.
rhythm.
It was not great for
Yeah.
me. But I'm just appreciative of being able to watch that with you. We usually don't do that a lot. So, shout out to you. The boy ZD called me like second quarter. It was like about to be halftime, and he's like, this man just calls me laughing. I was like, "What's up, bro?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's almost halftime, right?" I was like, "Yeah, it's like 5, 7 minutes left." He's like, "Okay, babe, like, is it cool if I pull up so we could watch the game, like finish it together?" I'm like, "Of course, bro." But yeah, no, bro, it was like I said, that was a probably one of the best games I've seen y'all play all
That's
year,
cool.
and
Right.
it was Luca being Luca. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure you saw it, or it might have been in the first half. So I don't know if you were able to see it, but you probably saw a highlight. This man Luca doing the no look passes the
Oh,
game,
the behind the yeah, I saw it. I
bro.
saw it
Yeah,
actually. I pulled it up.
yes,
In
bro.
the couple minutes I was watching it at work, it's funny that was when that had happened. So
Dude, of
I was like,
course.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was one of those
exactly.
games, bro. But like I said, I'll never discredit anybody. Y'all played a great game, and like I said, I don't want people to overreact to Thunder fans or even Thunder haters. You know what I mean? Like, feel like I was talking to you about it prior to or yesterday, and I'll bring it up again. It's the thing that sucks about being so locked in with the NBA season, especially where we're doing it. We're not getting paid to do it, but we're acting like we're getting paid. The way we take it so seriously and stuff, and like being tapped in with the whole league and stuff. It's like people overreact to a lot of things, and they're saying that. I haven't seen it myself because, like I said, I haven't been looking at stuff like that because I don't know. I just
Yeah,
don't. I
right,
don't
right,
like
right.
to. But
Makes
I'm
sense.
assuming people are probably like, "Oh man, is this troubling signs for the Thunder heading into the playoffs, this and that, and it's like, I understand it because yes, the NBA season is long, but I think it's just one of those, like we're saying, bro, you're making one out of the two shots you make for the whole game. It's hard to compete with that, and no one
For
could
sure.
really get it going besides Shea, and he didn't even have that great of a game, like efficiency wise. But y'all were just playing great defense, and when you're in such a big hole like that, it's like I think you said it, like Coach Dayton kind of threw up the white flag, in the fourth quarter, just because we're about to play y'all again, and we're really not playing for anything right now. It's crazy to think. We're 5 games left into the season and we're kind of just coasting. But when y'all are on like that, it's hard to keep up with that. So
Right.
but yeah, no, I just
Yeah.
want to see what your thoughts of the game, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think once again, I've spoken super highly of Luca. Clearly, he's been up and down. We've spoken about it. Like, I think at times he has games where, like we said, the 19, 20 points for some reason, that's still not enough. Like, we need more from him. But bro, like whenever you get him spraying the ball around, getting everybody involved, it's so difficult because when you add Austin Reeves and LeBron James in the mix, it becomes, legendary pretty much. Yeah, I caught the second half with CJ, and I think it was more of the same. I really saw everybody was just playing so freely. Also, the defense was extremely, extremely competitive, and that's something when I've brought up before on this podcast. Like it's like a roller coaster. I don't know which Lakers team I'm going to get, but like CJ was saying, we were knocking down enormous buckets, like, just getting to the rim with ease, finishing, and then hitting those threes, which are deadly. Any NBA team versus any NBA team, if one team is hitting their threes like that, like CJ is saying, it's pretty much impossible to beat. I've talked about it before. I think Shea had a pretty good game, but the point guard struggles are something we're gonna have to figure out. Just our defense versus the point guard position is really, I don't know, it's kind of all over the place. I saw it even right, there's a couple good possessions. Like we had stripped Jalen Williams, we had gotten a good, our hands on basketballs, but I think Shea in the first half was kind of controlling the game, still in controlling the pace, and he was definitely able to keep up. I just think his team, the team surrounding him wasn't really hitting their shots, and that's what you get, man. You get a one. I think it was what was it, bro? It was like 126.99 if I have it off the top of my head, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a pretty big win, man.
Very.
That's one of the bigger wins of the season for us. And like I said, we knocked down 22 triples, which is a season high for us as well. So I think, I think there's some nuances into the game, right? Like we you didn't bring this up, but I know you want to, you might be like, yeah, that makes sense. But the Thunder didn't double, right? So we were talking about it before I think on the last podcast, but it was like, I was like, oh, or you think the Thunder will double? You're like, nah. And so that's kind of what happens. I think Luca, it's not that the Thunder don't have the like defense to handle that because they clearly do. They're the best defense in the league. But I think when he's playing in that way, it's just really hard. I think, he's one of the best players in the world.
Hmm.
It's like when Shea or Jokic is playing that way, you're really not going to be able to stop him. I think Roy was knocking down some shots as well, just being so open. Um, the other interesting thing was we let our starters run, man. In the second half, we were still up 25 points, and I think there's about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and JJ was very reluctant to pull the guys out. I don't know why. Maybe it was some mind games that me and CJ don't know about, but me and him were kind of griping at the TV, like, yo, like I think you said it. Jackson Hayes had 13 minutes. Don Connect barely played. Bronny barely played, and those are the games, man. Especially at this point in the season when we've also clearly we're a playoff team. That's when you should let those young guys go and play. Go and play against one of the best defensive teams ever. If not, might be the best Thunder team ever. Even the guys on the bench are very, very good. So if they get to go up and get some reps in a game, that to me that's what's most important. But yeah, I think the Thunder really struggled to keep up with the offensive efficiency, and I think it was a very, very important win for the Lakers too. Like, if we didn't win one out of these two games versus the Thunder, because we play them tomorrow as well, so I'm excited for that matchup. But if we didn't win one of these two games versus the Thunder, I think we'd be in some trouble about losing our current seeding. But now it's looking a lot more formidable, and yeah, we continue to play at a high offensive level, man. Like when we're on, I've said it before, like we are dangerous, bro. We are very, very dangerous, and we could make a finals run, but we just have to be more consistent, and that's what I'm praying for. To keep it short and sweet, we just hit all the threes, and the Thunder couldn't hit threes, and so that's what you get. There's really not much else to say. I think we played some pretty good defense, but I just don't think the Thunder were really hitting their shots, and they were kind of like they looked a little shell shocked. So I think they were willing to take the loss. They also have almost 70 wins, so one loss versus the Lakers. Like, Daignault pulled Shea with like, did he even play in the fourth quarter, or was it like 8 minutes?
He might have played a couple minutes in the fourth. I know he usually sits at the beginning of the fourth, so I think he might have
I
came
don't even
in.
know if he played.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
he
he.
did, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think he played. I think he got 30 minutes because he just played the entire first half pretty much, and
Right.
then his second half. And yeah, that kind of the reason I bring that up is that speaks to kind of how they were feeling about it. So I'm sure this next game, I'm sure they'll go a little bit harder, just knowing Coach Daigneault. And again, they're going to be on a day's rest. I think it's cool. We're getting some rest days here. But yeah, we blitzed them, man. Like you said in the first quarter, bro, we came out blazing, and that's yeah, it's tough for any team to stop, bro. It's
Hmm.
really tough. So
Yeah, yeah, bro. Like I think we were, like you said, we were down 25, and we would kind of cut it a little bit, like 17, 15, and then y'all would just hit your threes again. And like you said, my main thing, kind of takeaway. Obviously, you brought it up. Y'all had the starters in pretty much the whole game. Luca played 37 minutes. LeBron played 34. Rui played 32. You had all these your starters out still when you had a 20-point lead, 18-point lead, whatever it is, with like 5 minutes left. And I was kind of scratching my head, and so were you. And as the game kept going, it kind of got shorter. Almost 2-3 minutes. I think they finally took him out with like 2 minutes
we had like
left,
two
and I
minutes.
was I was just so confused, bro, because like yes, I understand the lead is never safe, quote unquote, but like we didn't even have our starters
Thunder.
in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the
Like,
Thunder pulled their starters. That's what it was. That's what
yeah,
it was.
because
Like
it'd
the
be
Thunder
different.
pulled the starters. So.
It'd be
Yeah,
different
exactly.
if our starting five was in, or we had Shea, J Dub, whatever. But like
That's why I thought it was interesting.
yeah, and like you said, and maybe it's mind games, and JJ might try to make a statement or something, or I don't know what it was, but
I
like I
just
said,
don't want him getting hurt, bro.
that's the main thing.
Like,
You know what I mean?
yeah, like what if LeBron just tweaks an ankle going up against Kendrick Williams for no reason? Like, I'm just like, bro, we don't need this, but clearly everybody's safe, so I don't think that happened. But the point's the same, we trying to get to the playoffs. I hope JJ. Maybe we take a rest day on the Thunder this next time. I'm sure we might be coming out with some tired legs, and I'm sure we won't win this next one. I'm sure. Like, if I had my money on it, I'll bet the Thunder.
Really?
Yeah, bro. They're gonna be a little bit like, nah, like the Lakers are nah.
Yeah, yeah, right. No, I feel you, bro. But yeah, no, it was like you said, it was a great game for you, bro. Y'all, you pretty much what you were saying. Like, Luca gets it going early, then everyone else is gonna just feed off of that, and that's exactly what happened, bro. And I told you, I was like, damn, Luca has three threes already in the first quarter. There you go.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like,
like 5, 6 triples. I think AR had a couple too, and like you brought him up, man. You brought him up for me, but he's been our best player for sure. And yeah, he torched the Thunder. You
mm-hmm,
know, that's definitely a problem. And I know you've said it all season too. Their 3 point defense has been an issue for sure. You know, we've talked about it, the Celtics, some of the better teams in the NBA. They're gonna compete with the Thunder. You know,
mm-hmm.
the Thunder might struggle a bit, but we'll see, man.
Yeah,
They got that win I think they beat Boston in the Garden.
mm-hmm.
You know, Chet had like 27 points or something. So if that happens, no, they're not going to struggle, but we'll see.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we'll
that's
see.
been my main gripe about us, bro. We are, you know, if not the best, one of the best defenses ever, but we struggle with the threes, bro. And with the game nowadays, that's a huge part of it. You know, every team
What it
has
is,
players
yeah.
that can knock them down. So, you know, just depending on, like I said, you know, we've been saying it pretty much leading up to playoffs, depending on our matchups and stuff. You know, I'm not worried about the first round, but if we play against a team that you know is on fire from three or has the ability to knock down 30-40% of the threes, it's going to be a tough match. But yeah, no, man, it's you know not like I said, not the best performance from my squad, but you know it's great being able to watch it with you, and you know y'all got that dub, so I can't say nothing, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. You gotta take the LA city for a second. But yeah, on the road, I mean, I spoke kind of down on us for a second. You know, our road record isn't the best, but we came in with some juice. You know, clearly Luca was feeling himself, and I said it, man. I've said it countless times. I just think when he's on one, nobody's gonna be able to deal with that, man. So
Yeah,
just a legendary kind of performance for the season. Honestly, I think it definitely puts a stamp on how we've been playing in the second half of the year. It's kind of like I'd say that's like a top. That's probably our best game all season. You caught it on that one.
mm,
You know, I think Lucas had more points before. I think, but that's our best win, a road win against the Thunder.
yeah, yeah. I agree, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you think's gonna win this next one, though? You think that your team's gonna win, probably?
I think so, bro. Like I said, I think it's you know it's a weird spot to be in at the season because, like I said, we don't really have much to play for. But I think that just probably left a bad taste in our mouth, you know, because you know we've been playing well all season, and it's like we're not gonna let that happen again, you know. But I'm not saying that you know
You're on the road though, right?
no, y'all are it's a back to back away for y'all.
Yep. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So I
Okay.
think juices are gonna be flowing a little bit. Obviously, it was a bad night for J Dub. He shot 4 for 14, and I think that was a huge contributor. I've been saying it all year, right? Like depending on how well
Yeah.
he does is how Shea could get his, but we need someone else to be able to do that. But yeah, no, I think we'll get this dub, bro. I mean, I'm not saying that. I mean, obviously y'all can beat us. Y'all just beat us, but I don't know if y'all keep shooting like this, then probably not. I'm gonna be honest,
Sure. Yeah.
but
Like that's the
I feel like
thing. Yeah.
that's what any team, right? If they're shooting,
We're due. Right. We're
but
due for some regression for
right,
sure.
right, right, right. But yeah, no, I mean, I might, I kind of, I'm assuming LeBron probably gonna have one of those games. I don't know. I feel like that because he had 19, but obviously it was the Luca and AR
Fine.
show. But I think he can. He's probably gonna do a little something, bro. Put on a
He
show in
put this in.
OKC. Yeah.
Yeah, man. He had that nice little fadeaway though in that second half. Like he looked good. He looked spry still
Mm,
for his age. He looks like he's having a lot of fun with Luca because he doesn't have to dribble at all.
right.
So it's just yeah, he I think honestly for him he's probably like, oh, thank goodness. Like now somebody else is gonna get double teamed and stuff and have to deal with that and I don't have to run the pick and roll and
Hmm.
all this stuff. Like I have to run it, but I'm not the ball handler.
Right.
Like it's Doncic, it's
Yeah, bro.
AR,
Hey.
it's somebody else. So yeah, we'll see, man. Maybe you get one of them Braun 30 pieces, but yeah, if we're playing at this level, like CJ was just alluding to, I think we shot 55% from the field and like 52% from deep. So there you go.
Crazy, crazy, bro. Yeah, that pretty much
Yes,
sums up the
sir.
game right there. I'm not gonna lie. But shout out to
Yes,
y'all,
sir.
man.
Yes,
The
sir.
boys went crazy last night, bro. So shout out
100%.
Lake
Yes,
Show.
sir. Lake Show, 100%. But yeah, man, I think there's been a couple other teams buzzing around the league. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we've talked about the Rockets at length. Um, but you see the Knicks, they beat the Suns last night. I know you had turned it on. And I asked you, I was like, bro, like you think the Suns gonna win? Like, look, they're in the Garden because Booker was he was hooping for sure.
Mm.
They didn't lose by too much. I think they only lost by like 12. But um, did you end up seeing any highlights from that game? You see what OG was doing?
I saw what OG was doing. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
watch the whole game, but I saw he went cooking
yeah.
them, bro.
Because we were watching the Giants and stuff for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, for the audience, I think he finished with like 32 points, taking a picture with Suni Lee after the game. You know,
Hmm.
just getting busy with the females too. But yeah, OG, we've talked about him on this podcast before, but very underrated. I'll ask CJ a question later on in three man, but it's probably gonna be like who's an underappreciated player in the NBA? Like, give me three
Mm.
of them. And OG is definitely a name you can float around there because he's somebody who could get you 40
Hmm.
and guard your best player. Hey man, there's not too many guys out there like that for sure. So shout out to OG Anunoby and the Knicks. I think they're gonna be good, man. I don't think they're gonna go to the finals. Unfortunately, since we're talking about the playoffs pretty soon here, that's what matters is these championships. We've talked about Tom Thibodeau, the coaching style, how that impacts them. See if they're healthy, right? I think Brunson was in. I think everybody was healthy for this game. He finally returned. He had like 15 points. I don't have the minutes in front of me, but he obviously didn't go the entire time. But he still went a long time coming
Yeah,
off an injury.
34.
Tom Thibodeau, yeah, 34 minutes. Like normally he plays 40, so that's load management
Mm.
for Tom Thibodeau, which is crazy. But yeah, Jalen Brunson, 34 minutes off of injury. So we'll see, man. I think they could burn out for sure, but props to them to get in the 50. I think that says a lot about how their team's been playing this season. And McCall Bridges-Sott looked broke as hell earlier in the year, man, and finally he was able to fix it. And I know you remember the Christmas performance and the Christmas performance, and now we're all the way here at the end of the year. So, yeah, shout out to Knicks. I don't know if you've been watching them at all, but it's always nice to hear Mike Breen's voice. You know what I'm saying? I think we were watching him in the Garden, so we were watching it on the MSG network, and
Hmm.
that's where he lives. So, yeah, for sure. I thought that was cool because I was like, damn, bro. I know the New York Knicks they had the Melo. We just talked about Melo too. Like they've had a lot of happy things going on for them. So hopefully, their city has a lot of hope.
Hmm.
I think they'll be competing for sure. I don't think they'll be able to beat the Celtics or the Cavs, but they'll be up there.
Yeah,
They'll be up there.
yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, going into the season, they got Cat. They obviously got OG, and they had all the pieces. They pretty much kept the same team. Got rid of Dante, but you get Cat in return, and I mean, they looking good, bro. I mean, I think what we've been, pretty much what my worries been all season for them has been what we've been preaching is the minutes. That come playoff time. Yeah, you want your best players out. They pretty much play the whole season like it's a playoff series, pretty much
Right.
the whole season. So, like you said, their starters are playing 38 to like 40
Yeah, I
minutes
didn't
a
even think
game,
about
and
it like that.
yeah, and
Exactly.
obviously that's good, I guess, right? When you're in the playoffs, but the season is long, bro. You get all these nagging injuries. Someone's probably gonna get injured or be injured, and granted. Most of the players might have little injuries, like knick-knack injuries here and there, but like when you're playing that much, it's hard to we've seen it pretty much year after year, especially with Brunson being there. Like, he got injured at the end of the last season. And then, I think Josh Hart was also injured. So that's really my only worry. But talent wise, roster wise, like their starting five is one of the best in the league, So
Oh
they
yeah.
obviously stick
Oh,
with
yeah.
that. And we'll just kind of, like you said, I don't think they'll make it to the finals, but they'll make the Eastern Conference a little more interesting going against with the Celtics and the Cavs, So, but yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, they like you said, they just got 50 wins. That's a huge accomplishment that I don't think a lot of people really think about. You know, like we are talking about with the Warriors, bro. The fact that they only
especially in the
lost,
East.
yeah, the fact that they only lost 9 games in the whole season, and the Thunder are at
Oh
14,
man,
and you know, it seems like we've been dominating all year, but like, you know, what I mean, there's teams like that, and it's like, bro, it's crazy. But yeah, no, like you said, I was watching OG's highlights, bro, and I'm not gonna lie, he was kind of like the way he played yesterday was kind of looking like Kawhi esque, you know, like his
mm-hmm.
dribbles, like
Yeah,
getting to the rim, getting to his
getting to the
spots,
rim,
right?
finishes.
Yeah, and obviously we know what he could do on the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, no, they're gonna be definitely contending, bro. I mean, they have been all season. It's just you know the minutes and stuff that have been a worry for us. I feel like that's really our only negative thing that we said about them all season, but we'll see, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think they're also in a bit of a deadlock though, because they only have a certain window to make this work. They're also dealing with certain guys that aren't super young, like
Right.
Brunson, McCall Bridges, Cat. They're all, I would say, veteran players now.
Right.
You know, so even OG Ananobi, right? Like he's, I would say, in the prime of his career now.
Mm-hmm.
So probably in the next 5 years is realistically when they have a championship window, which is, hey man, in the East it's tough. I would say the Celtics will be around in 5 years. Probably the Cavs. Like it's just tough in the East because the East is really, really top heavy. The West definitely has the most teams who are probably going to get to 50 wins, but I think what is it? The Knicks, the Cavs, and the Celtics, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it.
Everybody
Yeah.
else has less than 50. So
Yeah.
I think that goes to show you the differences in the conferences, but that's why they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, though, you know, or something like that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see, bro.
Praying
Yeah.
for your Knicks fans. Yeah, so
Facts.
that's why we got to bring you up. But bro, let's talk about the Blazers, bro. You've been seeing what they've been doing because we haven't talked about them much. They had the same amount of wins as the Suns, man. Uh, Obviously getting that win against the Spurs yesterday, they were a little bit shorthanded, clearly down Fox and Wemby. I don't know, like you think that duo's solid though, right? Even though like
Yeah.
you saw enough to see. I was gonna say I don't think they have anything to worry about Wemby and Fox being able to work out. So whenever they come back, they'll be solid. But Stephon Castle, bro, you see what he said about locking up Rookie of the Year?
Mm-mm. What do you say?
He said I pretty much got it locked up. I don't
Mm.
even like. There's really nobody else who's been hooping like me, and so he said it. Y'all heard it. We said it. Y'all heard it.
Right.
It's gonna happen, obviously. So y'all know who's winning that. But he was showing out last night. But other than that, man, I don't know, man. The Chumani Kumar looks, who again comes from the Suns, right? 23 points, 10 boards. He looks super interesting. I know we've talked about the Blazers some, but I wanted to give them credit. I think they're like 4-1 or 4-1 over the last five, or it was like 3-1 over the last four. But they've been winning a decent amount of games, and you know what? Hey man, more power to them. I think we've talked about their young core. Obviously Shaden Sharp probably has the dunk of the year. He's been getting busy all year, pretty much. Scoot's really improved as well. Um, and then also, I think Blanton was killing in this game. He had like 20 points. So whenever you get somebody like that to go off for that much, who doesn't always give you that, you're gonna win some games. But it was interesting, bro. It was kind of a little battle of the West, a little battle of the young teams, like the young cores, bro. So obviously, whenever Wemby's out, you kind of see the impact that has on the Spurs, man. Like if Wemby ever were to be hurt, and God forbid he doesn't get hurt again like this, like the Spurs are going to be in trouble, and they're going to feel that. You know what I'm saying? Losing to the Blazers, the Jazz, all these sorry teams. So um, I don't know if they have the pieces around Wemby to like. Devin Vassell's good. He had a really good game in this game. I think he had like 20 points, 21 points, if I'm not mistaken. But he's also been kind of inconsistent. We need more from him. If you're a Spurs fan, shout out to Carlos because I know he likes the Spurs. So, um, this for you, bro. I hope they can surround Wemby with more than Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox, bro. Because I think Keldon Johnson's interesting. I think Devin Vassell's interesting, but CP's not going to give them much. And then Mamush Kalashvili. I think he had that. Did you see that game he had too, where he had like he didn't miss? He had
Mm-mm.
like 37 points. Bro, look it up real quick,
Oh
bro.
no,
Look up.
I did. Yeah, yeah. Here,
Yeah, you
I'll
did.
look
Yeah,
it. I'll look it though. Yeah.
for sure. But sometimes, like the Spurs always find these guys who are interesting. So I'm not
Yeah.
saying they aren't capable of it, but I feel like the Blazers and the Spurs are kind of in similar positions right now in terms of where their season lies. But
Mm-hmm.
hey, bro, the Blazers, hey, they're nice. Like you brought up Denny Avdia, we brought up Kumara, you brought up Klingon. Obviously, he'll most likely make an All Rookie team. But who I'm most impressed with this year, and honestly, it was more of the first half and some of the second half. But I think Scoot's been a lot better, and I know we don't talk about him a lot on this podcast, but because obviously Wemby's going to dominate those conversations. But hey, bro, if he ends up being pretty solid, I know he's short as well. He's 6'1", 6'2" with the shoes on. So he's really got to figure out a way to become a better shooter and a better facilitator. But he's been learning that, man. I want to say he had his career high this season. Like I think he put up like a 35, 30, 30, like a 30 piece. So it
Mm-hmm.
was pretty solid. I've seen a couple good performances from Simons and all their guys. So the Blazers are interesting, man. I'm
Very.
excited to see what they can come up with in the next few years. And I know the West is really difficult, but um, yeah, I think even like the Jerami Grant like hasn't been horrible. They still have the pieces around the 8-2, right? I haven't brought him up, but that's another Suns player, past Suns player who's now playing on the Blazers, who gives them a lot of juice. He's definitely better for the Blazers than he was for the Suns,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, bro.
yeah,
It's
that's my thoughts on that. Where the Spurs have been since Wemby's gotten hurt. That's why we haven't talked about them too much. But I think Stephon Castle's probably been, I would say, the highlight of their year, and then De'Aaron Fox trade, right?
mm-hmm.
You probably have to agree.
Yeah, yeah, hundred
So
percent, bro. Yeah, I was just about to say, kind of just piggybacking off of that. I think we talked about Portland. Not a crazy amount, but a decent amount because I think I was telling you like they have a good like they have something good going on there. You know what I mean? And I could tell like halfway through the season, you have Anthony Simons, you have Shaden Sharp, who are those two are great players. They could fill up the stat sheet. They could drop 30 on your head, and when you have
yeah,
Tumani Kamara playing at what he's playing at, one of the better defenders in the league, and he's able to drop 20 as well. And you have Klingon, you have Scoot, you have all this young talent. It's just seeing what they can become. Like obviously kind of injuries and stuff. I know like Anthony Simons didn't play, neither did Scoot, but that's gonna happen, especially towards the latter of the season. It's kind of they have something good going. Like you said, they have the same amount of wins as the Suns, which is crazy to think. I'm pretty sure no one probably thought that was going to happen, right? Because we thought the Suns were probably going to be a lot better what they were. But the way that they've been playing, bro, they I think they went on like a 10-game win streak earlier in the season,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's stuff
That's
like
when we
that.
brought them up.
Yeah, so I see what they got cooking up in Portland, bro. I think seeing what else they can their younger guys can develop into, but they could potentially be not saying that they're gonna make the ascension that the Rockets did, right? But like they kind of have that good young talent. We know what they can be. Defensively, that they're all right. They're not as good as the Rockets, but
Right.
I would say offensively they probably are a little bit better than the Rockets. So it's kind of like just waiting to see what they could become, and we're in the same division as them, so we're gonna be seeing a lot of them in the foreseeable future, and that they could definitely give us a little run for our money, having to go against them 4 or 5 times a year. So we'll see, man. They're I
Yeah.
fuck with them, bro. You know what I mean? Like I said, that young talent and just kind of seeing what their potential is, because a lot of people were kind of talking about Scoot's year, like is this the worst rookie season? And he didn't have the greatest season, but he's been fantastic this year, and we haven't heard anything about that because of obviously, like you said, Wemby, and being in the same draft class as a talent like that, it's hard to compare. But he's doing great, bro. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he's had a really good bounce, like sophomore. We say like sophomore slump, right? I would say he had like a better year this year than he did his rookie year.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
looking forward to see what they can become, and just kind of I think they're missing some stuff, but I mean, if they can have their young players develop, then I could probably be saying, looking back at this in the future and being like, man, they really didn't miss anything. Like they have those type of players right now where we're just kind of waiting to see where they're gonna be in a couple years. But yeah, no, shout out to Portland, man. Like I said, after that, the trading Dame away and stuff, we didn't really know what was gonna be their future
Right,
like, and obviously they
right.
had a down year last year, but they kind of bounced back. They almost hit 40 wins this year, which like is a good year for a young team that probably didn't have aspirations of getting that close. We probably thought they were gonna be in the flag
Sorry.
race. You know what I mean? So it's dope, bro. I
I
like
thought
seeing
they were
the
gonna be sorry, to
yeah
be honest.
right yeah
They're
we
they're they're good. I don't want to hate on Portland though. I know we've talked highly about them all season, but if you go back and scroll back, definitely we you know did not think Portland would do too hot. I'm disappointed with the Spurs too. I think their season was a disappointment,
mm-hmm.
simply
Yeah.
put. So I hope they can figure that out. But yeah, man, we'll have to see. Chauncey Billups may get fired, maybe he doesn't, but I hope they don't ruin that continuity either because he's been good for their young core of guys. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've also, we witnessed we were watching the Pacers and Nuggets game for a second. I think it was kind of like messing up because NBA TV be doing that. But what are your thoughts on obviously Jokic again? Nuggets have lost four straight, putting up a massive triple double. The Pacers are a quality team for sure, but uh, you know, there's some hype around Twitter saying like Jokic looks exhausted. Like the Nuggets are selling. What are your thoughts about that, man? Because you brought that up to me earlier, and I'll talk about mine. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, bro. It's obviously Jokic has been having probably the best season we've really ever seen, and they're kind of
Yeah, yeah,
on a little 4 game skid going into the playoffs, and I feel like that was really what we were saying all season, right? They're gonna be You can be putting up the numbers that Jokic has been putting up all season, but the people around him just aren't able to, do anything. Obviously, Christian Braun had a great game, but like the consistency of the players, I know Jamal Murray's out right now, but you know Aaron Gordon only dropping 5 points, and stuff like that. Like that can't really happen. You need to drop at least 15 to be winning those type of games, and when Jokic is putting up 40
right,
40 point triple
right.
doubles, he did all he can, you know what I mean? And it's tough to see it cuz I told you people are like, "Oh, they're the Nuggets front office need to start making moves because is their window closing and this and that." And it's like they just want a chip. You know what I mean? They literally just won a chip a couple years ago, and yes, they don't have the same exact roster, but they have Jokic and they have the same type of those type of players. And I don't know, bro. It's crazy because I think we talked about this. Whenever Jokic has these incredible games, they usually more than likely not probably lost or it was a really close game, and that's crazy to think. Because like I think I told you it's because he's having to put up those numbers where it's just harder for the team to be able to get
Yes, yes,
going.
you
And I
do.
think that's
Yeah,
that's really what it is for him right now. I think he's averaging like 40-point triple double for April, but they're 0-3 to start. I mean, obviously it's pretty early in the month, but they're 0-3, and it's like they're fighting for that third seed right now with y'all. So it's looking like that first round playoff series is going to be tough for them if they're not able to get a good seed. And I don't know, man. The way that they've been playing lately, we know what Jokic is going to be, but what are their role players going to be able to provide for him? And I feel like that's kind of what we've been really saying all season. You know what I mean? Like Russ will have a good game every now and then, and you'll have whenever Jamal Murray, come playoff time, we kind of know what he's going to be, but him kind of being out for a little while and hasn't really played, like I don't know what to expect from him at this point. Obviously playoff Murray is a little bit different, but kind of getting fine tuned and in form in a sense. It's going to be a little bit tougher for him, especially end of season going into the playoffs. And it's if the team isn't
Like,
playing that well, it's gonna be a lot more challenging than I feel like a lot of people
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Because Jokic is gonna get his. Like we know what Jokic is gonna be. He's been doing it for the past 5 years, 6 years, whatever it is, and it's just what are the role players gonna provide for him? And as of right now, it's not looking like much. So I don't know, man. They're definitely in a weird spot, because I feel like they really don't have, unless they make a trade or something. They don't really have anything to do in, like, not even obviously not this year, but like the following years. What is kind of like their plan going to be, and we'll probably get into that in the summer and shit. But like that's kind of where I'm thinking about it, because Jokic, like I said, he's realistically, like, if he keeps this up and everyone else is still playing at the way they are, they're not going to win a chip. So that's kind of my thinking and
Interesting.
what I've been seeing, and just kind of their season, really. Because when they have Russ going off, like I said, and he's able to drop 20-point triple doubles, whatever he was doing at the middle of the season, then they're good. But when you don't have anybody else being able to score like Jokic, or not even like Jokic, but just a little bit more than what they have been, it's going to be tough for them to be able to win these games and even playoff in a playoff series. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, scenario. I think, yeah, I'll piggyback off of what you said about the finals window. I think it's kind of stupid to say that, oh, they should trade, and get Jokic some better. Like, I think Jokic is the player, like, that makes other people better. Like, no matter who's on the roster, you could put him on the Pistons, or not the Pistons. Let's use the Jazz right now. The Jazz would instantly become better. Like,
hmm
the Jazz would probably become a playoff team
yeah.
just because they have Jokic. So it's not like, what's crazy is it's not really like the role players. I think more so they just have to use every ounce that they're getting from Nikola Jokic. And right now, that juice, that orange isn't getting squeezed hard enough. I don't think they're bearing enough fruit from that, current roster, which is something they'll have to look at in the summer. I think Julian Strother is interesting and should probably play more. But yeah, Christian Brown, bro, they're probably that's probably their second most valuable asset in this very moment.
Yep.
Like if a team were to call the Nuggets, they'd probably call about CB even before Jamal Murray and MPJ because
hmm
those guys have injury risk and they're really expensive. But I'm pretty sure they would call about Christian Braun before anybody else. So yeah, I think it's kind of it's idiotic to me to say that their championship window is closed though. As long as they have that Serbian guy on their team, I think they'll be just fine. They have lost four straight though, so I don't know. Like I think the Pacers also played really interestingly. I think Tyrese Halliburton had a dud, but everybody else played good. I think he had 9 points, but everybody else I think had like 20s. I'm seeing 20s.
Yeah.
Who had the most? I forgot. Was it
Miles Turner had 24.
Miles? Yeah, it was Miles. Yeah, it was Miles. And he's been, I think Miles Turner has been awesome for them. We don't talk about him much, but I would say, he's definitely I think we went through the center tiers, we talked about him. That was
hmm
kind of like the last time we talked about Miles, but I think he was like a B tier, A tier center, he's pretty solid, pretty good offensively and pretty good defensively. So obviously, they let Jokic get his, but everybody else, kind of struggled. I think Aaron Gordon's been playing a lot better this year without Jokic in the lineup, but it's whenever Jokic is in the lineup, what are you going to get from their certain players that's going to contribute to winning playoff basketball? Because that's ultimately what Jokic is trying to do. He's not worried about winning the MVP. He's worried about winning the NBA Finals. So
hmm
even if he doesn't win MVP or Finals MVP, I'm sure he'll be just as happy. But I was going to ask you, you think the Nuggets are going to be able to compete this year? Or probably not. 'Cause I don't think so.
Um, like you said, when you have Jokic on your team, I can never count them out. But it just really depends who they get matched up with, bro. And if they get fall down to the 4 or even the 5, they're gonna be playing what, either, depending on where
A
y'all are,
really good team,
y'all
yeah.
or someone else that can beat them. Honestly, obviously, like, I wouldn't say they're gonna get like blown out or something, it might be like a 7 game series or whatever. But it's gonna be a tough matchup for them, you know. And I don't know. I don't know if they could get to Western Conference Finals. Honestly, like it's gonna be really
We'll see.
tough. But just
We'll see.
depending where their seating is at and stuff, it's gonna yeah it's you know like I know that you know they obviously just won a chip 2 years ago, but you know that that time for them is it's not coming to an end. Obviously you have Jokic, but like you said, it's kind of just being able to not knowing what we're able to get from all their players, like you said, squeezing the juice out of everyone to see what they're able to be for them because when you have a player like Jokic, you're gonna have to go out there and give it your all because he's gonna give you the ability to put you in winning situations. But
He's also been averaging like 38 minutes. He plays all game,
mm-hmm,
anyways. So I think that's also an issue too. When like if he does play 40 minutes, because he plays 40 minutes in the playoffs, and that net rating is like as soon as he goes out for 30 seconds or a minute, it's like
mm-hmm,
that. I think, and that's what kills the Nuggets is like as soon as Jokic goes to the bench for a second, it's just they're in disarray.
mm-hmm.
So hopefully they can figure that out. That's always been an issue, having a player that's that, heliocentric. Um, it kind of leads to that. Luca has some of that too, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Nuggets are going to compete this year. It's not, I think it all comes down to how Jamal Murray and Jokic play. I think
Mm-hmm.
if they figure out a way to combine for 60 points each playoff series, I think they'll compete. But I think defensively, their team's taking a major hit. They don't really have anybody that's a scary defender. Besides like Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, like they have a few, but I don't think they have guys that are going to slow down a Shea, a Luca, all the guys who are going to score 30. So Anthony Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see, man. It's almost that time. It's exciting. It's like something we've been looking forward to this entire year. And I know we've talked about the Joker at length, but at some point you guys just have to pay your respects. If
Mm-hmm.
you're here on Three Man, you're going to hear about the best players in the world, and
Right.
he's one of them.
Yep. Yeah, you
It's
are.
that simple. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, you ready to get into our fun little segment we have today?
Yeah, bro. Let's get into it.
All right. Let's see, man. Let's see what you feeling about this one. But for our viewers, man, we're gonna go over since it's playoff time. Obviously, we've been doing a few playoff theme segments for you guys, but we're gonna go over that list, man, because I think you had me guess it a long, long time ago, but I want to review it. But this is different, so we're going over the active players now of the how would I word this? The top five active playoff scorers in the NBA currently. So it's not retired players. It's all active players right now. Some of them are old, but some of them are still young. Um, Clearly, you'll see whenever we get to the top of this list because we start from the bottom and work our way up. At the top, it's the best of the best.
Right.
It's crazy that these dudes they're still doing it at the age they're doing it at. But yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of crazy that this dude is first up on our list. When I was doing the research about it, I didn't expect it. I was like, oh, interesting. Like that makes sense. For sure. He's always been a top playoff performer going back to the 2021 or 2020, honestly, in the bubble when they
Mm-hmm.
won those 11 games in a row. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about Devin Booker. He comes in, CJ. You know what he's averaging?
28.
Yeah, 28 points per game for sure. Career in the playoffs. So if the Suns can make it to the play-in, look for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to go off for sure. I think both of those guys, but especially KD. But Devin Booker, he has the innate ability to be able to kill people from the mid range. He could score 40 points in the mid range. Like he prefers to operate there. And I think his elite offensive ability has allowed him to be one of the better players we have in this league. He's always been a consistent scorer. I think he also leads what he has the Suns franchise record for points now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, he's their best scorer ever. And yeah, man, I really think since he was 18, man, since I mean, he had 70 in the Garden, but just in the playoff moments, he doesn't shy away from them, and he's very clutch. If you guys remember last 2 years, like him and Kevin Durant, I think had those dual 40 point, I think they were scoring 80, 90 points combined and stuff like that. That stuff's crazy, man. That stuff's crazy for sure. So, yeah, shout out Devin Booker. When I was doing research on this, I did not know he was number 5 on our list. Um, but yeah, I think the Suns are right now. They're competing for that playing spot. Are they competing for it with the Blazers and who else?
Oh, so actually the Blazers are eliminated, so they're competing with the
Oh
Mavs
yeah,
right
they're
now.
done. They're done.
Hmm.
So it's just the Mavs, huh?
Mavs in Sacramento.
Why are the Blazers eliminated?
I don't know. They have 44 losses. I think that might be why. Because the Suns only have 43. So I'm assuming if the Suns lose, then they'll be eliminated.
Or they may have lost to the Suns.
Oh yeah, or that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Okay. That
tiebreaker
makes
or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Dang, I did not know that. That's sad for the Blazers. Okay, yeah, the Mavericks. Yeah, if they can get a playing game against the Mavericks, bro, I think Devin Booker will torch. He can heat up in a hurry, bro. And I think he's not afraid of the moment whatsoever. That's why he's number 5 on our list. He's averaging 28 points per game. It's kind of crazy to think about 2 points away from 30, but solid
Hmm.
guy. Hey, but this next player, man, comes out of the East. Um, Another one who I was kind of surprised, but when I thought about it, I was like, man, makes sense. This makes sense. It's Donovan Mitchell. He's only averaging like point 0.1 points per game more than Devin Booker, but that still counts in the NBA, obviously. If you guys don't know, I think Donovan Mitchell you put up 50 in the playoffs a few times, especially with the Jazz. But I know he's still working on getting going with the Cavaliers. I think he's finally, I would say, looking like extremely comfortable. I know when he put up 70, that was kind of when things looked like it had shifted for me, at least personally, for seeing him in Cleveland and being like used to that. I had to get used to seeing Donovan Mitchell in a different jersey, but I would say now he's very comfortable and look for him to do damage in the playoffs. I think he's been a consistent scorer his entire career. Um, and I think, what's crazy about that too is like I think this season for me hit the performance that really highlights kind of the type of player that he is in a playoff format is when they were going up against the Celtics and they were down, 25 points or whatever. This dude goes out, has like 40. You saw it, man, and
Hmm.
they came back. They ended up winning that game, but that's the Donovan Mitchell, me and CJ have grown up watching, and more props to him. I didn't know. Again, I didn't know when I saw this list. I was like, man, like he's getting to it too in the playoffs, so he's gonna be dangerous. I think, like I said, I think the Cavs go all the way to the finals, and Donovan Mitchell gets on a hot run and he goes off. I think they're gonna be dangerous heading out in the East. But you remember any of these crazy performances? I think he had one. He had one against the Nuggets. I want to say we went for
Hmm.
50 in the bubble, and then
I remember
he
him
had one.
torching the Thunder.
Oh, he torched the Thunder. He torched the Mavericks too.
Hmm.
He's torched a lot of people. He's torched a lot of people. So shout out Donovan Mitchell, man, from Louisville.
Yeah.
Definitely a bucket for
Yep.
sure. 28.1. So he's got that point one over Devin Booker, man. Yes,
That's
sir.
crazy.
But hey, this next dude, um, this is where we start to get into the elite of the elite. Clearly, this guy is. You know what? I'm gonna see. You know, I'm scrolling through my brain right now. It's the 2017 NBA Finals. I think it's Game 3. KD, man, Kevin Durant, like in the playoffs, clutch three. Just to, I remember he hit that three and he looked at Curry. He was like. He was just
Yeah.
turned, bro. I was like, damn, like Kevin Durant's cold. That was when KD was like, all right, KD's him. But KD, we got KD on this list coming in at third, man. 29.3 points per game. What can I say? He's smooth. He's a smooth killer in the playoffs. He's always able to showcase his incredible offensive arsenal. But for me, it's just if he can stay healthy. I think that one time he tore his Achilles, and then obviously recently he's had some knick-knack injuries that may end up costing him all NBA. We'll see. Um, but he's just able to score in so many different ways in a playoff scenario, and I think a lot of teams have struggled to guard KD because he's also played on great teams. He's always played with superstars. That's the other thing. Like he came out playing with Russ. I think really his rookie season was the only season he really didn't have like anybody because it was
Hmm.
just really KD. But I think he had like Hashim Thabit and like he had some like interesting like some names, bro. But
Right.
yeah, yeah, bro. Like some names, but
Cole Aldridge and shit
anyway,
like that.
yeah, Cole Aldridge, like you're talking about, like not bums, but not Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, like a legendary Thunder team, and then obviously the Nets, the Suns, the Warriors. Like I had a KD and Braun mixed.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think KD's second, right?
Yeah, KD second. Sorry, like you cut out, but I was thinking about it. I was like, while you were gone, I was like, I don't even think that's right, man.
You're good. You're good.
You know what I'm saying? But my bad. It's LeBron. LeBron is third because LeBron has 28.9. I said 29.3, but I was like, I missed LeBron.
Yeah, you're good.
But
You're good.
y'all know LeBron. Y'all know LeBron. LeBron is the king. I don't know what else to really say about him. We've talked about him like probably more than we've talked about KD on this podcast because I'm a Lakers fan. But uh, he's done everything in the playoffs. He's the all-time playoffs leading scorer. He's the all-time NBA leading scorer. Has all those Finals MVPs, and he's just a staple of winning. And uh, for him to still be doing it at this age, that's really the thing. Is like he's 40. I mean, same with Kevin Durant, like 38 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like very, very solid and efficient. But um, y'all will see because I don't want to spoil it just yet, but I feel like we're going to be very, very scary in the playoffs because obviously, we have one of the most dangerous teams whenever it comes to offensive output. And I think that's kind of what wins you, championships when it comes down to it. Who's going to be able to score the ball when nobody can score the ball, right? Um, but I think LeBron at times has been reluctant to take over. I remember some of the Spurs finals and then the Mavericks finals. There's been times where he's been kind of scared of the moment and not really trying to do it. But I think that's kind of he's put that behind him, and he's a veteran, so he's going to make sure that we get the job done and we're prepared to go out there. And I'm excited because I'm expecting 30 a night.
Mm,
Like according to the stats, I'm expecting 30.
mm.
What can I say about it? But you know who's first on this list, right?
Yep, I sure do.
Yeah. So it's for those who may not know, it's Luka Doncic. But Luka, I think he's averaging what? It's like 30.3 points per game in the playoffs, which is just
Nuts.
unreal. He had against the Suns game seven, against the Clippers. He had the game against the Thunder last year, the game six we were at. He's had he's just had some performances, bro, where he's put up 30 or more, and that's kind of just what Luka does. And like I was saying before, I think when you pair him up with LeBron James and you're gonna get some fireworks in the playoffs, bro. There's literally no way we have two top five guys. I think we're the only team who does on the same team in terms of like career playoff scoring. So that's really why I brought it up. I had to.
Gotta let us know what's
Nah, but
up.
nah. Yeah, yeah. I had to. What's up? What's up?
Yeah.
But yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Luca comes in at the highest clip out of all these guys, and I think it kind of goes to show you he's really already a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion. He just has to win the finals really to solidify that. I don't even think he has to win an MVP. I think all with his all NBAs and then winning a finals title would be crazy, but he uh he turns his game up a notch in the playoffs. I would say to me, out of all of the scorers on this list, I'm taking Luca, not just because he's number one, but he just turns into like a different person whenever he's in the playoffs. I feel like LeBron's kind of always locked in, KD's always locked in. Like they're not really different, but Luca has the switch, bro, that he's gotten away with turning on, and so we'll see if that happens this year. But I'm expecting some. 40 balls for sure. Maybe even 50. We'll
Mm-hmm.
see.
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
100%.
Shout
Yeah.
out Luca,
But that
bro.
was it. That's the top five. So, heading into the playoffs, look for those guys to be lighting it up because I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I think we brought up Jamal Murray. He's also somewhere on this list. Curry's up there, Jokic is up there. So it's going to be interesting. I think this playoffs, Giannis too. This playoffs will be one of the better ones in recent memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro. Can't wait, man. We've been waiting for this all year, bro. It's literally
100%.
what I've been
Yeah,
telling
like
you.
I don't know, man. I'm like, bro, like I hope we get a good matchup. I hope we can win in like 5, 6 games. I hope it doesn't go seven, man, because we need to get on. We need to get on. We need to move it on. We need to get to the Thunder because we can get past the Thunder, bro. I think the Lakers could win the finals for sure. Ski. Like we
Yeah.
could beat the Celtics. The Celtics are. I think the East is kind of bummy. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like I think the East is kind of fraudulent. I don't think the Celtics or Cavs are really that good. But I think the West is good. I think the West is gonna win the NBA Finals if I had to pick. So I'm going with the Thunder most likely, but we'll see.
We'll see, man. We'll
That's
see,
how I have. I
bro.
have Thunder,
Yeah, you
but
do.
I think this is the year of the Thunder. But they won't win next year, obviously.
Yeah. Damn, bro. This I can't wait, bro. I can like you know what
What
I
if they
mean?
like three-peat? What if they like three-peat and we've been like recording it the entire time?
You know how crazy that'd be, bro?
I know you would cry.
I'd
You'd
cry,
be like,
bro.
this is the third year.
Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Where that
Hey, you never know.
we'll see,
It's
bro.
happened before,
It's happened.
for sure. I think the Thunder, I was going to talk about it in the summer, but we're going to talk about some of the younger teams. And obviously, the Thunder have the number one youngest core, so we won't like get to that. But we'll talk about the other ones, like the other ones who are good. We brought up the Blazers, we brought up the Spurs, but we'll make a list. But obviously, they have the best one, but their championship windows, 5, 6 years. I was telling you yesterday, I think they have guys on their team that are willing to take pay cuts. Lou Dort, other guys that can get paid probably 100, kind of Austin Reeves situation, I think Lou Dort is worth $150 million.
Yeah.
Like, I would pay Lou Dort that amount. He plays defense. He goes out there every day. He's rarely hurt. He's out sometimes, but I think when he's out there, he's super impactful and he's a way better scorer. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think they have guys on their roster that are actually willing to like, oh, I want to win a championship,
Take a little pay
and
cut
that'll
and shit like that. Yeah.
right, yeah, that'll
Mm-hmm.
just be that. So. But yeah, man. You have anything else you wanted to add?
Nah, bro. I think that was good. Great pod. Can't wait to the playoffs. We're like the last 4 games for some teams, so it's right there. We're
It's
right
right
there,
there.
bro.
It's almost over. I'm excited, man. We've been keeping up with it all year, and it's a pleasure to do this with you. And hopefully, the Lakers too, man. Like I know we're winding down the year, but I'm just trying to figure out who we play because the West is still up for grabs. Like we don't really know
Right.
what the seeds are going to be besides your team,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yep.
So I know
Yeah.
that feels good, but got this game coming up tomorrow too as well. So that's exciting. Like I think the Thunder are going to be on their horse, but I know the Lakers are going to be looking to get their lick for sure. Like I know we already won, but I know JJ's going to be like, man, let's try to keep this rhythm going and make sure we're going into the playoffs with the right mindset. So this was
Hmm.
good, man. I appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, bro. Appreciate you as always for chopping it up. But if y'all liked and enjoyed this episode of 3 Man Weave, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time, man. Peace. 3 Man, 3 Man, 3 Man.